stakeholders are those individuals or groups that depend on an organization to fulfill their own goals, and vice versa, the organization depends on stakeholders. Stakeholders can be positively or negatively impacted by, or cause an impact on the actions of a company. Firstly, the objective of a business is to make profits for its shareholders. There are likely to be many stakeholders, especially for a large organization, perhaps more conflicting. For example, in a large organization, stakeholder can be divided into 4 types. There are economic, social, technological and community stakeholders. Just need to take a view on which will have the greatest influence and need to pay most attention for.
Stakeholders are further distinguished in various ways. In terms of their location, there are 2 categories, namely internal and external stakeholders. According to Harrison 1996, the internal stakeholders are those groups which belong inside the organization. By contrast, external stakeholders are groups that are outside the organization and have effects on the survival of the organizations. Internal stakeholders try to manage their interests are the profitability, survival, and growth of organization. In addition, their influence is shape the commitment and motivation of staff. External stakeholders, such as government, they interested in corporate tax revenue and they have the power to enforce requirements through legislation, regulation, penalties, and so on.
I would like to take Singapore Airlines as an example. Its internal stakeholders are staff. It can be cabin crew, customer service staff, and so on. Another internal stakeholders can be seen as executive managers. Finally, its owners are very important stakeholders, such as board of governors. Its external stakeholders are various. Passengers are one of them. It can be domestic or international passenger. Another external stakeholders are communities. For example, local community, where the Singapore Airlines operates its business. Thirdly, government means local laws and Singapore law. Creditors who lend the company are bondholders, banks, and so forth, or shareholders. Finally, several types of suppliers or partners are maintenance services and aviation authorities.
There is another type of stakeholder classification. Some authors, such as Savage or Clarkson, divide stakeholder into primaries and secondary ones. This way to characterize stakeholders is by their relationship to the effort in question. A primary stakeholder group is one with whose continuing participation the corporation cannot survive as a going concern. If any primary stakeholder dissatisfies or withdraw from the corporate system, the corporation will be seriously damaged or unable to continue. Secondary stakeholder groups are defined as those who influence or affect or are influenced or affected by the corporation, but they are not engaged in transactions with the corporation and are not essential for its survival. According to the Clarkson, primary stakeholder groups typically are comprised of shareholders and investors, employees, customer, and supplier, together with what is defined as a public stakeholder group, the governments and communities. The media and a wide range of special interest groups are considered as secondary stakeholders.
Again, let's look at Singapore Airlines stakeholders. Its primary stakeholders are shareholders, managers or employees, investors, suppliers, customers, partners, nationals and local governments, etc. And shareholders, customers, and staff are key stakeholders. Its secondary stakeholders are media, local and general community, labor unions, and competitors. Media and community are two important ties of secondary stakeholders, which Singapore Airlines usually looks after.